I am delighted today to be joined by Christina Trodella. She is the Commercial Sales Director for B2B Reality Labs at Meta. Deloitte and Meta have worked together for the last few years, since 2011 actually. We've worked on over 500 projects together, over 50 countries, and we formalised our relationship in 2019 through their workplace product, where we saw the absolute value of being able to drive productivity and employee engagement virtually. So Christine, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
All the way from California, so
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's start. You've been with Meta now for more than a decade.
Yeah.
How has the organisation evolved in that time?
Yeah, I have been there almost 11 years. When I started, there were less than 2,000 employees, one office in Palo Alto. And most notably, the biggest change is just how much we've grown in a decade. I mean, we're now almost 100,000 employees.
Incredible.
We have global offices in every single major city around the world. So we've just grown tremendously. We've also really grown our business during some really interesting times of major disruption. So when we first started at Meta, Facebook, all we had really to monetize in terms of ad inventory were small little postage stamp size ads on a web page. But then as mobile took off and adoption just went through the roof, we had to pivot our business model. But I have to say, during all of this change and hyper growth that we've gone through, I really am always so kind of in awe of how we have maintained our culture. And it's really something that that everybody at Meta feels very passionate about, is who we are, how we treat each other, how we show up. We're very committed to our mission, which has not changed over time, to connect the world, and also our company values. We live these values out in all of our day-to-day work that we do.
And over the last 2 years, that vision to connect the world has come into reality in a way that none of us expected.
Mm-hmm.
But the move to virtual working over the pandemic, talk to us about what that meant for you, what that meant for your business, and I'm sure how proud you feel about being able to connect the world during that time.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because when the pandemic hit, Facebook, at the time we hadn't rebranded to be Meta, but Facebook was in the same position as many companies. We saw really great stories coming out of customers that were using Workplace. But what was really interesting is how we saw leadership leaning into the platform. We saw so many CEOs going live on a weekly basis and having town halls. And, they were, sitting in their living rooms with their kids jumping on their laps or, in their sweatpants. And so it really humanized leadership for people at a time when there was a lot of anxiety. So we really found it to be this tool that really created some connective tissue for organizations besides just getting information out. And it really became a great tool to build community. We saw a lot of companies building different groups based on interests, whether it be, baking during the pandemic, or one of the groups that we had on my team was we called it the micro kitchen, which we have micro kitchens in all of our offices that represent a time to, bump into people and have serendipitous conversations. So we try to recreate that digitally on Workplace. And we had a lot of fun with it.
We did something similar, which we called the virtual coffee break, where you registered and you were then linked with people who you probably would not have met in real life. So it was a really lovely way to just keep that communication going and just help each other, actually, just make sure everybody was doing okay. What we have now is virtual reality being our new reality, which is in many ways good. It does, however, present that risk of all of us feeling that we are always on. How have you personally navigated that?
Yeah. Well, I think this is something that, again, as technology becomes more pervasive and gets in the hands of everybody globally, it can really feel like that you always have to be on. There's a couple things that we do at Meta. First of all, we do build this into our technology. So on Workplace, for example, people can set the tool to say, do not disturb. And then that way they won't be notified when chats come in. They will not be notified when posts come in. It's a very silent, a way to silent things, because a lot of the always on is I'm reacting. I'm seeing something come in on my phone. I have to react immediately. So we've tried to eliminate that through the tool. It also, we can sync notifications seamlessly with our calendaring tool. So when I go on PTO, it automatically knows I'm not out. It automatically will send out of office messages to anybody that pings me on any of our tools. So it kind of takes care of it from that perspective. But the biggest thing in terms of how we manage this is through the behaviors that we expect our managers to have. We have 7 key manager behaviors at Meta that we look to build and instill in all of our management. And one of them is demonstrating care for the team, for your direct reports. And it's something that we really encourage people to have active conversations with when they're meeting one-on-one.
And one of the things we did during the summer was we announced to all of our UK Deloitte people, all 22,000, that they could work from anywhere and how they wanted to work, when they wanted to work and where they wanted to work. And what was great about that was we did a survey and 96% of people really appreciated the choice. So I think that was the first thing. But 81% said they wanted to be in the office 2 days a week because they do want that personal connection, relationships, opportunity to innovate and coach. So I think there is a real kind of enabling of hybrid, which is great, and which we as big organisations can help our clients to adopt as well. Tell us a little bit more about the Metaverse. Everybody's talking about it. Tell us about it.
Everybody is talking about, well, I think, the Metaverse is, we believe at Meta that it's going to be the next computing platform, right? We've had desktop, mobile, this is going to be the next iteration of that. And I think a lot of people think the Metaverse is virtual reality. And it's definitely a 3D experience, but it doesn't necessarily have to be virtual reality. It's really about creating experiences and really driving that sense of presence through those experiences. And so we're developing a lot of tools and software and hardware to enable the Metaverse. Meta is not the only company that will do this. This is going to be a huge, huge industry with lots of players in it, and we're very excited.
I think it's such an exciting period of experimentation. So we have got virtual reality now in our onboarding, so we can onboard people virtually. Our people can collaborate with anybody globally, and that's over 300,000 people globally, which is incredible. We're doing that on virtual reality. And we've also launched a client lab, we call it Dimension 10. We invite our clients to come and experiment using augmented reality, virtual reality, and the Internet of Things. So I think this is an exciting time as we all kind of try and understand what we can do with it, what it can enable, and to your point, what is the next evolution of this, and how does it impact the future of work? So Christine, final question for you. As a senior woman in technology, what advice would you give to people who want to get into the technology industry today?
Well, I think I have never considered myself someone who's technical at all. I need to, have people help me even like hook up the cable in my house. I mean, I just don't have that. It's not something that's intuitive for me. So the first thing I would say is if you're passionate about technology, don't let any inhibitions stop you from that. You don't have to be, an engineer or someone that knows how to code to have a career and a fulfilling career in technology. It really always comes down to people. And I think if it's, if people can just remember that, hey, would an actual person use this app or use this technology? I mean, having that perspective and that empathy for people is really, really important.
Excellent. Christine, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you have a great time in your visit to Europe. And safe travels home. Thank you to all of you for joining our latest episode, and we will see you soon for the next. Thank you.